Surviving the Dark, 7 Bone-Chilling Secrets of Prehistoric Humans Against Deadly Predators. In the shadowy depths of ancient forests, where colossal beasts roamed, survival became a twisted game of chance. Imagine a world where every rustle of leaves could signal death, where prehistoric humans known only as the hunters of dusk faced off against relentless predators that could tear them apart in seconds. What did they know that we don't? Secrets hidden for eons, whispered only in the chilling winds. Unbelievably, these early humans had communication methods that would put our high-tech gadgets to shame. They utilized subtle hand signals, each intricate motion articulating fear, danger, or triumph. Picture it, a frantic flick of the wrist could mean a saber-toothed tiger is lurking just beyond the shadows. The tension in the air thickened like fog, dread palpable as they maneuvered their lives around creatures capable of devouring a grown man in a single bite. They became experts in reading their surroundings, turning every crackle of twigs underfoot into an ominous warning. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the landscape transformed from a sanctuary to a death trap. The eerie calls of predators slithered through the air, weaving stories of dread through the minds of those perilously close to extinction. They crafted weapons from the bones of their fallen foes, turning remnants of fear into tools of survival. Each spear was a lifeline, each crafted from the hard-earned wisdom of survival against the night's terrors. Just when you think you grasp their fight for survival, here's where it gets even stranger. Some tribes developed blood-curdling rituals to summon the spirits of their ancestors. Yes, they believed that by licking the blood of their fallen enemies, they could absorb their strength. A sickening, gut-wrenching thought, but for them, it was about thriving against oblivion. As the whispers of their brutal existence seeps into your mind, you begin to realize that history is painted not with pretty stories, but with raw truth. They endured harsh winters with guts and grit, while we sit comfortably scrolling through news feeds. What drove these individuals to uncover the secrets of survival? Fear. Hope. A burning desire to conquer the darkness. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But beneath their relentless battles, a question lingers like an unshakable shadow. What if there lies a deeper secret about those primal fears, echoing still, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it? What truly set the hunters apart from their prey? Only the next chapter can unveil the answers hidden in the darkest corners of their world. As darkness blanketed the land, uncertainty grew like a malignant shadow among the hunters of dusk. Each night felt merciless, stretching out their fear into tendrils that coiled around their hearts. They understood their enemies' massive jaws, gleaming teeth, and predatory eyes that pierced through the blackness. But with each sunset came whispers of a deeper terror, insidious and unseen, that gnawed at the very fabric of their existence. Gathered around the flickering fire, the hunters exchanged glances loaded with unspoken dread. Increasingly, reports had surfaced of strange sounds echoing through the valley, a chilling cacophony of piercing cries, sounding almost human, mingled with the guttural growls of their monstrous foes. Elders warned of the mystery. "Beware the lost ones," they muttered, their faces shadowed by flickering flames. The lost ones were said to be shadowy figures that wandered the night, searching for something they could never find. Those who encountered them often turned mute, eyes wide with terror, gripped by an unseen force. Rumors claimed they could steal your essence, your very will to survive, leaving nothing but an empty shell in their wake. Each tale spun around the fire sent shudders through the hunters, tightening their muscles in fear, but this fear became undeniable when Eldar, the strongest among them, vanished one night while out on a hunt. His absence struck deeper than any beast's tooth. The hunters scoured the woods, hearts pounding against their ribcages, but only silence replied, thick and heavy. As morning light broke, dread settled in. They found nothing but Eldar's spear, broken and abandoned, swallowed by the earth. tensions rose as the hunters convened in a frenzy. Should they go deeper into the forest, where the air hung dense with an unsettling stillness? Or should they fortify their camp, barricade against the invisible? A council was called, voices raised in heated argument. Some wanted to confront the darkness head-on, while others spoke of barricades and staying within familiar ground. Each heartbeat pulsed louder, the threat weaving through each one, condemning their instincts as primal fear hovered just above their thoughts. Sneaking glances into the treetops, Arya felt her stomach twist. We need to find Eldar. We can't let that shadow take him. Her voice sliced through the cacophony, drawing the hunters' attention. Silence fell. The challenge trembled in the air. With a nod from those willing to brave the unknown, Arya took the lead. They ventured out in a tight formation, the firelight dwindling behind them, swallowed by darkness. The woods were a maze of terror, rustling sounds escalating into frenzied whispers, mocking their venture. Shadows darted between the trees. Were they beasts, or the lost ones? Each snap of a branch sent jolts of fear, their instincts screaming to turn back. Yet, the image of Eldar's face haunted them, urging them deeper into the dark. As they pressed on, an eerie chill seeped into their bones. Overhead, a great silhouette swept across the moon, blocking its light, a monstrous predator. The hunters froze, their breaths hitching as they squinted into the darkness. And then they heard it, a voice that bore no warmth, no human inflection, beckoning from the depths. Come find me. The ground trembled underfoot as the hunters felt the spine-chilling urge to obey. What had they uncovered in the thicket of fear? What awaited them in the embrace of the void? Heart racing, Arya's instincts kicked, and there was no turning back now, no stopping the quest for answers, even at the risk of being devoured by the very darkness they sought to conquer. With every step, the whispers of danger hummed like electric tension in the air. Little did they know, uncertainty wielded power far greater than any beast. Would they emerge victorious, or become yet another whisper lost to the night? The answers hung like the full moon behind clashing clouds, their fates intertwined with the secrets lurking in shadows. Were they hunters, or would they become the hunted? Only the darkness held the key, and Arya's next move could mean life or death. The hunters pressed on, utter darkness enveloping them like a suffocating shroud. Each crack and rustle seemed amplified, the shadows loomed larger, more threatening. Arya led the way, her heart pounding wildly, reminding her with every beat that fear could just as easily paralyze as propel. The chilling voice echoed in her mind, "Come find me." It felt like a cold finger tracing her spine, pushing her deeper into the woods. "Stay close," she whispered, adrenaline sharpening her senses. Glancing back at her companions, she saw the flash of fear across their faces. The men, once stoic and sure, now swayed by uncertainty. There was Gareth, the stocky one, whose hands trembled against the hilt of his sword. And then Lyra, her eyes darting nervously, searching the branches for lurking shadows. They trekked through thickets, clawing vines snagging at their clothing, the trees whispering secrets only they could understand. The palpable dread mixed with the musty scent of decay hung in the air. It wasn't just the forest that felt alive, it was as if something else, something sinister, was moving among them. Suddenly, a sound sliced through the night, a high-pitched scream that rippled through the air like a violent wind. It wasn't the cry of a beast, it struck deeper, reverberating with a language older than time, a cold reminder that they weren't just traipsing through a wilderness, they were intruding on a world of eldritch horrors. What was that? Gareth gasped, hands clenched. "Stay quiet," Arya commanded, her voice low but steady. "We need to focus." They moved, creeping closer to the source of the sound, their breaths shallow. The trees parted, revealing a clearing bathed in sickly moonlight. In the center lay a figure, writhing, silhouetted against the soft, haunting glow. A young woman, her hair long and matted, limbs twisting unnaturally. Her mouth opened, emitting that spine-chilling cry again, but this time it morphed, drenching the air with an unsettling harmony. A chorus of voices blended in, singing their mournful song, while her eyes darted left and right, panic etched across her face. No, Lyra barely managed, frozen in place. Is she one of the lost ones? Gareth whispered, his voice trembling. Arya's heart raced. The stories flooded back. They absorb the spirit of those they take, she said quietly. She looks lost, like she's fighting something inside. The lost ones search for something, Lyra echoed, worry crumpling her brow, but what could this girl have lost? The realization struck Arya like a thunderclap. If they turn into this, we can't let ourselves fall into that fate. As if triggered by her thoughts, the girl suddenly screamed again, her voice tinged with pure terror. The music in the air shifted, deepening into a thundering chant that echoed through the clearing, wrapping around Arya's limbs in an icy grip. The hunters stumbled back, fear lighting a fire in their chests. Leave her! Gareth shouted, panic bubbling. No! Arya countered, stepping forward. We have to do something. She might know where Eldar is. The moment she took that step, heat surged through the space, and shadows coalesced around the girl, forming indistinct shapes that writhed like a storm. The hunters gasped as they realized that they were not alone. The lost ones materialized, transparent and hollow, faces devoid of hopes, flickering like candle flames. What do they want? Lyra's voice cracked, a tremor slicing through her resolve. Maybe they want us, Arya posited, eyes darting from shadow to shadow. The atmosphere thickened as one of the shadowy figures reached out toward her, a hand made of darkness, tendrils curling like smoke. What do we do? Gareth's voice was now a frantic whisper, fear stripping his confidence away with every moment that passed. The energy crackled as the figures encircled them, their whispers now a deafening chant. It dawned on Arya then she couldn't just run. She had to face them. We stand our ground. She cried, squaring her shoulders, but was it bravery or desperation? Just then, the girl twisted in agony, pulling Arya's focus back. A glimmer of recognition shone in her terrified eyes as she locked onto Arya's gaze. Help me, she rasped, desperation spilling from her, but was it help she sought, or was this an invitation into the abyss? Help us escape! Lyra cried, stepping closer to Arya, who remained rooted in place. Was there a way out? Or was this the unraveling thread that would lead them all into eternal night? In that moment, the air thickened with a weight so heavy it felt like a punch to the chest. The lost ones were closing in, hungering for more than just their spirits, and without warning, a sharp screech split the night, cutting through the tension, leaving them breathless. The darkness trembled, would it swallow them whole? Or was there still a sliver of hope to seize before the final curtain fell? Arya's heart raced as she realized the truth. Answers lingered in the darkness, but at what cost? As she drew a deep breath and stood firm, one thought filled her mind: this was only the beginning. The shadows shifted again, and for a heartbeat, Arya thought she saw faces among them, lost souls etched in silent agony, their mouths frozen in screams that would never escape. She blinked hard, willing herself to focus. There was no turning back now. Arya! Gareth's voice broke through her reverie. What are we waiting for? We have to move. Wait. She could feel her heart pounding against her ribs, the thrum drowning out the shadow's cries. Maybe she is the key. Key to what? Lyra shot back, panic flashing in her wide eyes. To our demise. The girl in the center writhed again, deeper and more violently now, as if wrestling with an unseen force. Her eyes, once clouded with fear, suddenly flicked between Arya and Lyra, emitting a desperate plea. The air crackled with an energy that felt alive, as if the woods were watching, waiting for their next move. Help me! The girl screamed again, her voice rising to a piercing pitch. They will take you all. You have to break the curse. The lost ones tightened their grip, shadows swirling aggressively as they seemed to respond to the girl's cry, her desperation igniting something ancient in the air. Chilling wind whipped around them. Arya felt her skin crawl as tendrils of shadow brushed against her, chilling her soul. Cursed, what does she mean? Lyra whispered, trembling. Maybe the girl can unlock something, Arya thought aloud, her mind racing. Somehow, they had to reach her, pull her back from the brink. If we can just touch her, there's no time. Gareth shouted, shifting on his feet, the terror bubbling just beneath his skin. We need to fight them. Arya shook her head, defiance mingling with an aching sense of urgency. If we rush in, we could lose ourselves too. We need to understand. What if we can save her? With a fierce determination, Arya stepped forward, her breath coming hard and fast. The shadows swirled faster, swirling like a storm around her, but she pressed on, heart racing at the sight of the girl's trembling form, the flicker of hope sparking deep within her. You have to fight it. Arya urged, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. You're not lost. We can help you. The girl locked eyes with her, the chaos swirling around them dimming for a fragile moment. You don't know what they will do, they are powerful. And then, without warning, a brutal scream erupted, shattering the moment. A jagged pain stabbed through Arya's chest as she staggered back, the shadows unrelenting, dragging at her with icy fingers. No! She cried out, panic rising. Don't give in. What if it's too late? Gareth's voice cracked like dry wood. She could see him physically shrinking, the shadows feeding on his fear. We push through, Arya shouted, the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. We have to find the strength. Fight it. The girl fell silent, her body convulsing as the shadows gripped her tighter, the struggle waging fiercely within her. Behind the haze of darkness, more forms appeared, emerging like ghostly silhouettes from the depths of the forest. Ethereal eyes of the lost ones glowed faintly, an endless sea of despair resonating within their depths. This is not just a battle for her, Arya realized, her throat tightening. We need to confront what's lost within ourselves. A flicker of recognition broke through the haze as Lyra's voice suddenly rose above the din of chaos. We can't let them take us. Remember who you are. The shadows recoiled for a heartbeat as if her words were a beacon, a glimpse of light piercing through the gloom. Arya felt it too, a warmth stirring within her, a spark of who she had been, a fighter, a friend, a seeker of truth. As the chant of the lost ones intensified, the air grew thick, and surreal energy pulsed in waves. Arya took a deep breath, feeling the warmth spreading like wildfire, igniting her spirit as she reached out again. Help us remember. She yelled, her voice slicing through the darkness. Another scream echoed, a battle cry that mirrored the hearts of her companions. The girl's body bucked with renewed energy, eyes wide open as shadows flickered around her, momentarily revealing the faces of those once lost. But as the figures lunged forward, tendrils seeking to draw them into the abyss, the very trees seemed to moan. Arya jolted, adrenaline thrumming in her veins. Time felt suspended, each second stretched taut like a bowstring, ready to snap. The chilling realization gripped her. This was not merely a fight against the lost ones, but a confrontation against all that they feared, all they had buried deep in their souls. Arya! Gareth shouted, pulling her focus back once more. The others, there's no way out. But the answer lay within, a final, terrible truth that hung heavy, like the blades of fate they wished to escape. Would they battle what hunted their truths? Or would they succumb to the suffocating dark? In that frozen moment, Arya's entire being trembled as the shadows lunged. She understood, they needed to act, but what sacrifice might they face? And then the world erupted into chaos once more, the call to arms ringing clearer than ever before. What secrets would unravel as they fought to hold on to their souls? Were some truths better left buried in darkness? The very air around Arya crackled with fear as the shadows surged forward. They seemed to breathe, engulfing everything in their path. Arya's heart drummed in her chest, thumping against her ribs like a prisoner desperate for escape. One misstep, one moment of hesitation could pull her into that suffocating darkness. Stay close! She shouted, reaching for Gareth and Lyra, who clung to each other, their faces pale in the eerie light. The girl in the center, still writhing, was their only beacon of hope. You can do this. Lyra urged, her voice trembling but fierce, echoing through the chaos. Fight back. Remember who you are. Arya realized then that Lyra wasn't just speaking to the girl. They were in this together. Her courage became their lifeline. The shadows recoiled a heartbeat longer as if their power was momentarily broken by their unity, and Arya seized the moment that in one swift motion, she lunged forward, forcefully breaking the barrier of swirling darkness. The chill bit into her skin as if to remind her of the stakes. I'm coming for you. She yelled, holding out her hand towards the girl. A faint glow began to pulse between them, a shimmering thread of light igniting against the gloom. Take my hand. Arya implored, desperation breaking through. You're not alone. We'll pull you back. The girl's eyes widened, desperation mirroring Arya's own, as she reached for the light. But then the shadows stirred violently, swarming around her, shrieking like banshees, intent on dragging her back into their cold embrace. No. Arya stopped in her tracks, a surge of panic threatening to undo her. If they couldn't get closer, if the shadows pulled her in without thinking, she took a deep breath and plunged headlong into the darkness with a fierce determination, her spirit ablaze. The shadows grasped at her, pulling, tugging with icy fingers, but she fought it, pressing forward as if her heart was the shield against the night. Hold on, just a little longer. Arya shouted, sweat beading at her brow. The flickering light grew brighter, illuminating the contours of the shadows, revealing faces twisted in anger and agony. They screamed, thrashing, yet still she pressed on. The girl's voice cut through the dark again, raw and terrified. You don't know what they want. The curse, I don't care. Arya snapped back, the heat of her resolve cutting through the chill. I won't lose you. We won't lose anyone. In that moment, something shifted. A pulse of warmth blossomed in the center of the chaos. The girl's hand grasped Arya's reaching fingers as they connected, a spark igniting in the mire of despair. The shadows recoiled again, a wail of rage rippling through their ranks, as what had once been desperate became fierce determination. Together, Gareth shouted, rushing in beside them. We're together. Lyra followed close behind, her voice joining the crescendo of resolve. We're here. We will break this. As they formed an unbreakable chain, a warm glow began to push back the shadows, the golden light flooding through the darkness like a torrent. The faces within the shadows twisted, their cries escalating into a furious chorus of rage, but they were losing ground. Confront the fear. Arya felt the words slip from her lips, believing in the power of their truth. They had to face what haunted them. A sudden rush of memories flooded her mind, of laughter, of loss, of lessons learned, all lost in the haze of despair. With every pulse of light, each memory brought strength. They needed to acknowledge who they were, acknowledging their pain to reclaim their power, yet as the shadows thrashed, the terrible whispers seeped into their resolve. You don't belong. You're not worthy. Arya's grip tightened around the girl. We belong to each other. You can't take that from us. In that moment, an unexpected crack shattered the aura. One last shadowed figure, an enormous shape, loomed behind the others. Its presence felt suffocating, dark, and potent, a predator hidden among shadows. What is that? Gareth gasped, eyes widening in horror, but the monster was not just from the outside, it thrived on doubt and fear, myriads of voices echoing within, each a reflection of their inner demons. It surged forward, drawing them closer to the edge of oblivion. Suddenly, Arya felt it, a flicker of recognition, the truth they had all ignored washing over her with searing clarity. No, we are not defined by our fears. But the darkness lunged for them, claws and screams ready to consume. Would they rise against the tide together, or would the shadows strangle their hopes, dragging all into despair? As the shadows drew near, and the phantom of hopelessness, monstrous and twisted, descended upon them, Arya felt the suffocating pressure around her heart. Fight! She cried, heart soaring with a final flicker of hope. Together. But how would they tackle the very root of their fears? Would they step into the darkness, or would it crush them under its weight? The world around them shifted, the darkness swirling as if it were alive, thrumming with a sinister pulse. The shadows, having recoiled momentarily, surged back with renewed ferocity, their cold tendrils reaching for Arya, Gareth, Lyra, and the frightened girl at their center. Dread washed over Arya, it was as if the very essence of their fears screamed to drag them under. Would their light hold in the face of that monstrous shadow? The giant figure's eyes bore down on them, poolless voids that consumed any hope of escape. It loomed, towering over the last remnants of their courage, and the screams of the others dimmed under its immense shadow. Arya swallowed hard, feeling the lump growing in her throat, threatening to choke her resolve. But she couldn't let it win. Not today. Arya shouted, voice ringing out defiantly. She could feel the warmth of her friends beside her, tangible support against the encroaching terror. We will not be afraid. The girl's grip tightened in response, the light between them flickering but steadfast. As if pushed by an ancient, instinctual force, Gareth and Lyra echoed her declaration, each word a thread binding them tighter against the darkness. We are more than our fears. Lyra screamed, rage empowering her tone. It was like striking a match against an unyielding night. But the shadow enveloped them, slick and suffocating, clawing at their hearts, their thoughts. You'll never defeat us. It hissed, the voices twisting together like snakes, each a reflection of the unspeakable truths they all held deep. What could they do against such insidious whispers? Yet Arya clung to one thought, one undeniable truth. We belong to each other. She insisted, echoing her earlier resolve. The power of their bond surged through her veins. These shadows thrived on their isolation, their doubt. We won't let you tear us apart. One powerful pulse erupted as their collective voices rose higher, an organic symphony of resistance. The light expanded, pushing back against the shadows for a heart-stopping moment, a golden light bursting forth like a wildfire, scorching the dark, but then, just as quickly, the shadows recoiled and retaliated. The darkness struck back with ferocity, the colossal figure morphing into smaller horrors, darting around them, striking like a serpent. Each thrashing, each angry hiss felt like needles against their resolve, battering their unity. The girl pulled closer into their circle, trembling but unyielding. Tears streamed down her face, they were not just tears of fear, they were the release of pain, the acknowledgement of a long-held burden. I'm so scared, she murmured, voice cracking. We know, Gareth breathed, his sincerity like a bomb. You're not alone anymore. We're with you, no matter what. Small moments of courage surfaced, but the shadows pooled, growing restless. A cacophony of sorrowful wails darted past them, each voice a bitter reminder of their hidden insecurities, their sins brought alive in the form of monstrous anxiety. Look! Arya cried out, hoping to rally their spirits as she caught a glimpse of a faint glimmer ahead, a flicker of hope. We can reach that. Whatever it is, it calls to us. We have to break through. But the towering figure was relentless, a tempest of shadows rushing to engulf their fragile light. Its roar shook the very ground beneath them, a commanding presence pushing them back, rooting them in place. You cannot escape your fate, it bellowed, the ground vibrating with each word. No. Arya felt fury ignite within. I decide my fate. With every ounce of strength, she surged forward, the warmth of her friends igniting a path amidst the encroaching dark. Would they make it? Would they truly confront the monster at the heart of their fears, or would the darkness swallow them whole? As they pushed beyond the edge of despair, Arya felt a crack in the shadows, a shudder of resistance. It was there, just ahead, a faint outline of light, beating steadily like a heart. Together, they raced toward it, poised on the brink of something monumental. In that crucial moment, as the shadows closed in once more, she yelled, "We are the light." The shadows erupted further around them, the chilling screams rising to a deafening crescendo, drowning out their declarations. Would they be swallowed by the very darkness they fought against, or could they reclaim their power from the depths of despair? The answer loomed closer than ever, but so did the edge of oblivion. What lay beyond? What would they find waiting in the heart of the darkness? The air crackled with tension, a living thing buzzing around them as they sprinted toward the sanctuary of light. Every step felt like a race against time, the shadows screamed louder, their voices clawing at the edges of Arya's sanity. "Keep going," Gareth urged, his voice strained but steady. The girl's trembling hands felt fragile in Arya's grip, yet the fire in her heart ignited an unfamiliar force. The flickering light pulsated ahead, drawing them closer, a beacon against the howling darkness. "Don't look back," Lyra shouted, but Arya couldn't help it. The monstrous figure was reforming, dark limbs stretching further, like branches of a wicked tree reaching out. Its essence twisted, merging and splitting, creating new horrors that charged at them with renewed zeal. Shadows formed haunting faces, mirroring their fears, mockery in their expressions. "Everything you've ever feared is true," they howled. "You cannot escape who you are." That was it. A dagger lodged in her heart. Arya shook her head violently, her breath coming in short gasps. "No. That's not who I am," she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. The truth was clear. They were not mere victims, they were warriors journeying through the most harrowing parts of themselves. "You're right," Gareth yelled, pushing through. "Face the truth. We are stronger together." The intensity of their bond flared up again. Each voice bridged the gap, each cry dissolving the dark attempts to drown them. The light ignited brighter, a firework bursting against the asphalt of despair, scattering shadows in its wake. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. The grotesque figure bellowed, shaking the very air. "You will never break away from the prison of your darkest thoughts. No. This ends today." Arya shouted, and she charged onward, her friends keeping pace beside her. The warmth shared among them pulled her forward, the light growing fierce with every shared heartbeat. The place they ran toward hardened into something recognizable, a portal bursting with light so vivid it felt like the sun returning after an endless night. There wasn't time to question, they leaped, abandoning all doubt, plunging into the radiance. For a heartbeat, all was dazzling, serene. But then, the darkness clutched at their heels, clawing to reclaim its victims. The shadows hissed, trying to drag them back, the light shimmering around them like fragile glass. "Don't give in," Lyra yelled as they hit the threshold. The moment they crossed the light, an explosion of sound thundered. Light erupted into vibrations that felt both like salvation and agony. Each note pushed against their skin, a razor-edged ball of energy. What is happening?" the little girl whimpered, clutching Arya's arm. "It's the truth," Arya answered, her heart racing. "It's everything we've been hiding from. We're almost there." But treacherous things surged near, shapes lurking, twisting in and out of the light. Arya's heart faltered as she recognized the faces, snapshots of her deepest insecurities, gleaming eyes of doubt, sneering smiles of betrayal. They were memories manifested as monsters, coming for their reckoning. Fear clawed at Arya's chest with icy fingers. This was more than a battle. It felt like an inner war, and despite the radiance, she could feel the weight pressing down, threatening to crush everything inside her. Courage surged alongside despair. "Ride the light," she declared, finding strength in her voice. "We've got this together." As they pressed forward, Arya felt everything tighten. She closed her eyes and summoned every ounce of trust she had. "Now. We will not be defined by our fears." With an enormous push, they lunged through the light. What greeted them was beyond comprehension, a vast void of shimmering colors, like stepping from monochrome into a vibrant kaleidoscope. Everything felt wrong yet so beautiful. Each breath pulled them deeper into uncertainty. But just then, echoes of laughter filled the air. It was mirthful, ringing, but familiar, casting webs of doubt across their minds. "Welcome," it teased, a familiar tone, laced with sinister joy. And there it was, a new enigma. "You've come to play, have you? But are you ready for the real game?" Darkness swirled again, the invitation to despair wrapping around her like heavy chains. Each thrill of hope met with an increase in dread. Aria's resolve began to tremble. What game awaited them in that vibrant nightmare? Would they stay united, or succumb to the echoes of their past? Their journey was just beginning, and the heart of the darkness was still waiting for its final showdown. Colors shifted and danced in the void, warping reality into something both alluring and menacing. Heartbeats quickened, every pulse echoed like a war drum in the vastness surrounding them. Arya, Gareth, Lyra, and the young girl felt the weight of their past pressing down, suffocating them beneath memories crystallized in fear, but then the laughter twisted, becoming a sinister symphony that rang in their ears. You're here to face it all. But remember, you play by my rules. The voice slithered through the air, each word a shard of ice that pierced through their bravado. What does that even mean? Gareth spat, defiantly hoisting his chin. The unease rumbled in the air, tainting the vibrant colors with shades of gloom. Before anyone could respond, the kaleidoscope began to pulse, spiraling downward like an inescapable whirlpool. Terrifying whirlwinds of swirling shadows funneled around them, threatening to suck them back into the horrors they had sprinted away from. The ground beneath their feet squirmed. It's not real. It's just in our heads. Lyra shouted, reaching for the hand of the girl beside her. Each word felt like a reassurance, even as dread pooled in her stomach. Arya's chest tightened as she caught a quick glimpse of monstrous faces emerging from layers of distorted light, familiar apparitions of her failures and fears. A dark figure of a past failure loomed large, mocking her. Remember me? It seemed to roar, a hissing laughter echoing through the void. You couldn't save them. You can't even save yourself. No. Arya screamed, the sound raw and desperate. You don't control me. None of you do. Strength surged through her, this time sharper, ignited by the flames of defiance. Are you so sure? The voice crooned, the unnerving mirth slipping into something more sinister. Let us see how strong you really are. The shadows lunged forward, faceless memories becoming tangible nightmares that lashed out at them with clawed hands. They tore at the fabric of the world around them, eliciting gasps and cries. Don't let them touch you. Gareth shouted, tightening his grip around Arya's arm. The faces morphed into grotesque forms, representations of every moment of failure they had ever faced, every relationship that had fallen apart. Despair clawed at them, slipping through the cracks in their resolve. You are nothing without your fears. The voice taunted, echoing ominously. Arya felt a surge of panic. What if they were right? The shadows twisted and turned, morphing into haunting figures, each one creeping closer, threatening to consume them. Flickers of vulnerability split through her armor of courage. Stay united. She cried, glancing at the others, their faces mapping an agony she shared. Hold on to the fire. Lyra shouted back, fueling the growing warmth pulsing between them. The light inside intensified, sparking connections that refused to be broken. As they pressed closer together, a magnetic force formed, merging their fears into something unexpected. Instead of isolation, they became a tapestry of terror, vibrant and pulsing. I can feel it. Gareth gasped. We're more than just these shadows. With every thought of unity, the shadows recoiled, twisting and warping away from their combined light. Heedless of the roaring malevolence around them, they stepped forward, shoulder to shoulder, but just as their courage began to weave a path through the darkness, the air thickened. Everything went silent, the laughter vanished, replaced by an eerie stillness. You think you've escaped? The game is only just beginning. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted, sending them hurtling headfirst into the depths of the abyss, the kaleidoscope of color fading. Reality blurred, and just as Arya finally felt the flicker of triumph, the ground fell away. Where would they land? What choice would they face next? In that vulnerable moment, swallowed by shadows, she feared it wasn't just a game anymore, it was survival. And she could not shake the feeling that the true battle was yet to come. What lay beyond the fall? Would they rise or break in the chaos? The very essence of themselves and their fears was on the line as shadows clawed for a chance to claim them once more. The sensation of weightlessness enveloped them, a disorienting tumble through the blackness. Time lost all meaning as they spiraled, helpless against the pull of the abyss. The silence was deafening, a grave pause before chaos. Then, like a thunderclap, the world twisted back into focus. They landed hard, the impact jarring and bone-rattling. Dust billowed around them, swirling into obscurity. Arya blinked, struggling to shake off the remnants of shadows still lurking in her mind. She pushed herself up, gasping as she took in the new surroundings. They were no longer in that surreal kaleidoscope. Now, they were in a dark, cavernous space, illuminated by faint phosphorescent glows that flickered like dying stars. "Everyone all right?" Gareth coughed, brushing dirt from his shoulder. Lyra was already on her feet, scanning the haunting shadows that slithered along the jagged walls. "I think so," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Next to her, the girl appeared dazed but unbroken, holding on to Lyra's hand tightly, as if it were a lifeline. Arya could see the faint reflection of fear in the girl's eyes, mirroring her own. They staggered forward, caught in a web of uncertainty. "Where are we?" Arya asked, her heart thudding like a drum against her ribcage as her eyes darted around. A low rumble echoed through the cavern, causing chills to dance down her spine. "This is another layer," Gareth said, his voice tremulous. "I can feel it, the energy is different here." With each step, the air grew heavier, laden with the scent of earth and something metallic, like the iron tang of blood. The glow from the walls pulsed softly, casting eerie shadows that danced, almost mockingly, at their feet. As they pressed deeper into the cavern, the temperature dropped. A freezing wind whispered past them, carrying with it murmurings that slithered into Arya's ears, half-formed thoughts that unnerved her. "Do you hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Lyra nodded slowly. The murmurings grew clearer, becoming distorted voices, some familiar, some not. They echoed with laughter, cries, and the very worst of memories clawing at her resolve. "It's trying to break us apart again," she said, eyes wide with realization. Suddenly, the phosphorescent lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. The shadows lunged, far less forgiving than before. They twisted and wriggled through the damp air, spiraling from the walls, forming shapes that made Arya's stomach twist in knots. "Stick together!" Gareth shouted, reaching out to grab Arya's arm. But she could feel a pull, a temptation to break free. The fear was almost a bone-deep comfort, an invitation to surrender to the darkness that had haunted her for so long. Just as she felt her resolve waver, a cry echoed through the darkness. "Help!" The young girl's small voice shattered the silence, raw with desperation. It grounded Arya, sending a jolt of courage through her. "Stay with us." Lyra reached for the girl, who had stumbled backward, as shadows leapt towards her, their forms twisting into her past insecurities. "You are not alone. We're here." Each word reinforced their connection, weaving a fragile shield against the malevolence pressing in from all sides. As the shadows hesitated, flickering back, Arya felt the weight of purpose hardening within her. "Focus on the fire," she urged her friends. "Together, we can push them back." With a primal instinct born from desperation, they joined hands, pouring all their fears into the flame of resilience ignited at their center. Light exploded outward, forcing shadows to retreat, revealing a path twisting and winding into the darkness ahead. But just as they dared to step forward, a deep, rumbling growl echoed from the depths beyond. The shadows coalesced into something more than fear, something raw and primal. A hulking beast emerged from the darkness, its glowing eyes fixed on them with unwavering hunger. What had they unleashed upon themselves? Would this beast show them the way out, or consume their fragile unity first? Time seemed to hang suspended as they faced the unknown. Shadows danced around them, waiting to see if courage would triumph or if fear would seize them whole. With hearts pounding in unison, Arya, Gareth, Lyra, and the girls stood dwarfed by the monstrous beast now looming before them. Its eyes glinted like polished daggers, sharp with hunger, framing a visage of primal terror. The air thrummed with tension, as they exchanged frantic glances, the shadowy tendrils writhing around them like vipers waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Stand ready!" Gareth barked, gripping his spear tighter, though Arya could see the fear flickering in his eyes. The beast let out a low growl that reverberated through the cavern, a deep rumble that sent electric jolts down Arya's spine. Whatever the creature was, it was not merely a figment of fear, it was a manifestation of everything they had faced so far, a culmination of their darkest memories. Discreetly, she tightened her grip on the girl's hand, willing strength into her small frame. As the beast stepped forward, shadows twisted around its massive form, revealing a grotesque structure that looked both human and otherworldly. "Do you dare call yourself brave, when in truth you are nothing but shadows of your past?" It sneered, a hollow voice that clawed at Arya's very core. She could feel the echo of old fears scratching at her mind, casting doubt and despair, but deep inside her, resilience stirred. "Don't listen to it!" Arya yelled, the strength of her voice breaking through the echoing whispers. "You are not defined by what has been done to you." She faced the creature head-on, heart racing. "We are not afraid." The girl beside her blinked wide-eyed, then echoed back, "We're not afraid." The determination in her voice sparked something in Arya, a light against the encroaching darkness. The beast snarled, and without a moment's notice, lunged toward them, speed fueled by the essence of despair. Arya's heart stopped as she felt an instinctual urge to run. But she stood firm, they had come too far. "Together!" she shouted, pulling Gareth and Lyra closer, and the girl joined them in a tight circle. "We stand as one. We confront this together." Suddenly, waves of warmth surged from their connection, filling the cavern with a soft glow that illuminated the fear-worn faces of the lost ones lingering in the shadows. The air cracked with the energy of possibilities, a beckoning for the creatures hiding within memories. Arya felt their essence like roots intertwining, fragile, yet stronger when united. "Remember your joys, your victories." Gareth blurted out, eyes blazing with conviction. "Hold on to the light." Each of them focused on the warmth kindling within, pulling in memories of laughter, love, and shared dreams. The shadows recoiled slightly, sensing the encroaching light, their own forms wavering. "Feel it," Lyra added, raising her head defiantly. "This isn't a curse, this is our journey. We can change it." Arya focused on the girl beside her. She could sense the strength blooming from believing in each other. They took a collective breath, igniting the glow within. And just as the beast prepared to strike, they unleashed it, a wave of blinding light fueled by hope, a declaration of their unity. The light crashed against the darkness, consuming everything that dared to challenge their resolve. The creature roared, an anguished sound that echoed through the cavern as the shadows writhed and twisted, beaten back by the brilliance of their combined courage. "This is our fight!" Arya cried out, her voice resonating throughout the cavern, pushing against the walls of despair. "We choose to confront you." As they pressed forward, the radiance grew, illuminating the faces of lost souls trapped in the shadows. Each moment of shared truth pulsed with energy, transforming despair into a bonding force. "You are free!" the girl shouted, pointing toward the swirling shadows, the lost ones emerging from their prisons of pain. With an explosive crescendo, the shadows clashed with the light, fracturing into a kaleidoscope of colors. The growl of the beast faded, replaced by voices, whispers of fear set free, realizing their pasts no longer held power over them. Arya felt a rush as their declaration echoed back into the darkness, rippling across every shaded corner. The beast faltered, its form flickering as if the very essence of what it was depended on their fear. "No! You cannot escape me!" it roared, but the collective voices of unity had risen, drowning it out. "We are more!" they shouted, drowning out the beast, illuminating every dark wave. With one final surge, the light pushed forth, enveloping the cavern in a brilliant glow. The shadows withdrew, consuming the beast whole before it could react, fading into nothingness, taking with it the remnants of fear and doubt. Time stood still for a moment, just serenity before the storm. As the echoes of cheers filled the air, they emerged from that cavern, breathless but alive, a tapestry of memories weaving around them, some still haunting, but woven into strength rather than shackles. Outside, dawn broke through the horizon, a golden glow flooding the land, casting new shadows that flickered gently across the earth. Arya turned to her companions, joy and relief filling her heart. "We did it," she breathed, disbelief entwined with gratitude. "We faced the darkness." Together, Gareth echoed, their shared journey binding them tighter than blood, and the girl smiled, radiating an innocence reclaimed, yet now strong after the shadows of her fears had been confronted. "We're free," she whispered, and in that moment, they understood freedom wasn't about escaping darkness. It was about embracing the light within, knowing strength lay in their bonds and experiences. As they turned toward the dawn, a new day lay ahead, full of possibilities yet unseen. They stood, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. The hunters of dusk had transformed into the bearers of light, alive in a world where shadows could linger but would never again rule. Join us as we continue our exploration of light against the darkness. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this journey. Flood the comments section with your thoughts on this wild ending and your theories for what awaits next. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this spark of hope. You need to support this channel now, so together we can keep these stories alive.